This is Paula from Plantland with a quick lesson on how to grow asparagus. Asparagus is something like raspberries or strawberries or rhubarb that you're going to create a permanent space for. It's a perennial plant. You're going to plant these crowns once and they're going to come up year after year after year. Asparagus is kind of a special case. What you buy are these crowns, and those we have now. You can see this one's just starting to put out a little bit of growth. It doesn't really matter if they're not, because again, like so many of these, if these are nice and flexible and feel pliable, that means that that's a good root. So asparagus is a plant where you want to make a nice trench for it, because the way you grow it is similar to potatoes in that you're going to continue adding soil. So you're going to dig a trench and improve soil 12 to 15 inches deep. 18 inches would be ideal, but soil around here is pretty bad, so we'll settle for 12 to 15 inches. Once you get that trench dug, the soil that you take out either needs to be replaced with very good soil, compost-rich, nitrogen-rich soil, because remember, you're trying to produce a plant that's going to feed pretty heavy here, rather than the native soil that you took out. So you're going to take this asparagus crown, as they're called, and put it in the bottom of the trench, about a foot apart, and you spread the roots out as much as you can, like this. And then you're going to put about 3 to 4 inches of soil over it, soil from the good soil that you're replacing in the trench. Then when these stems come up, and when they get 3 to 4 inches high, you're going to put soil on it again. And you're probably going to do that 3 more times, so that this crown is going to end up being at the very bottom of your trench, and the stems are growing up through it. Now the sad thing about asparagus is that first year you cannot harvest any spears. The reason for that is the plant is spending time putting out good root growth. And if you harvest those spears that first year, what you're going to do is set back that crown. It's not going to spend its time developing in the ground. There's a saying about perennials called sleep, creep, and leap. Sleep means the first year you don't see much action above ground, because all of it's happening below ground with the plant putting out roots. Creep is the second year, which is where you see some activity above ground, but it's still going to spend some time putting out roots. And leap is the third year, when it really puts out lots of top growth, because it's finally put out enough roots, enough bottom growth to support all that top growth. So the second year that you have asparagus in the ground, you can very lightly harvest a handful of spears, maybe enough for a quiche or an omelet. It's not until the third year that you should start really harvesting the spears. And you'll know when they're ready to harvest when they come up and they get about the size that you see in the supermarket, about 10 inches or so high. You cut them off at the base and you've harvested your asparagus. Don't harvest every single spear, because again, what will happen is you're not going to leave any above ground growth to replenish this crown. So it's important that you leave maybe a quarter of the spears for the bed, so that it can actively replenish the crown. And what you'll see are these kind of airy fronds that come up and go to flower at some point. Once you get good at recognizing them, you'll see wild asparagus on the roadsides all over western Montana. And that's the easy thing about asparagus. Then as your bed's getting established, they really appreciate a good heavy top dressing of compost every spring before they start to come up, or when they're just barely starting to come up, because asparagus are very heavy feeders. It's also a good idea to give them a balanced fertilizer like the Happy Frog, which is just a granular kind of thing that you can spread on. It's organic, it has soil microbes, which keeps your soil healthy. You can spread some of that over the top of your asparagus bed also. Weed control is very important. Your asparagus isn't going to grow great if there's a lot of competition from weeds, and there are no chemicals you can use to do that. We're talking about pulling by hand or hoeing. We have a pretty good handout available on our website, plant-land.com, all about asparagus growing that you can read. We have crowns in stock now. If you buy them now and you're not able to get them in the ground, you can keep them in a paper bag in the refrigerator and just keep this crown a little bit damp. Just give it a good little spray about every couple days. So that's asparagus growing. It's really pretty simple if you have patience. This is Paula from Plantland. Happy gardening.